whereas he'd pulled one bang on square, one in front of square previously. He waited that bit longer this time and he just guided it round the corner. They're at 51 in 120 to 106 deliveries, and that's included 9 for surviving a chance and making Yorkshire pay at the moment.
Yeah, got a deep square and a fine leg, and yet somehow still managed to find the gap, although I'm not entirely sure that. I think it's best out there at deep square, picked it up, he seemed to be covering his face.
Ralph goes Yorker length to Croft, similar to that delivery earlier on where he tried something pretty much the same, trying to get the toes out of the way, just follow that. Made ham done, but Ralph get one of those right, that takes.
Yeah, it's basically some of the stuff taken in the scene. The fantastic game in the Kent game where one got clean up and trying to get the toes out of the way. You want to fall, maybe hoping those short ones keep coming.
Ralph again into Croft, who just leans away to the offside and is able to play it with a nice leg glance and gets, he doesn't set lines, so he did glance the leg fashion. At 2. To the tackle on 17 for 2. For the Red Rose. On 1 Rose.
Miles.
And Nelly got. Ralph really is getting going here, and from the moment it was over to the western and both Harris, Ralph and Arsenal into lead runs here from the White Rose. Like 102 in.
Yes, this partnership was going to be all important. Two very experienced Lancastrians out now in this partnership, and Ralph's not this leaking runs either side. Not entirely sure what his plan is. We need to think of something here.
Is it a case of again and trying to find channel?
That's literally an eye track so far this season, and if anyone's about to the stage, don't give anything, or do they don't give him up?
Well, about yeah.
Yes.
There's a powder over and filming.
Can get ball challenging the sort.
No, to the next news for so from my kit from I think Jennings fighting his battle lovely great shot like the long belts that's way there.
Jennings has been used quite last few minutes lessons and guys down the area. I think I know.
If you don't know you need to and the throw and help you shot through the side. Yeah. Jennings and do like lunch when I probably popped a local maybe also well healthy the other again drive and be things we go on some extra cut. I think that I do one more and so to remember things I've gone already. Well, there's only one left this up. A cup of tea at Pente. Loading in and Jennings gets a winch, Logan gets a hand on it. But that will be the end of the over. So it's 58 Croft. 5 but 2 few words from Katie and then
yeah, not going all too well for Yorkshire at the moment. I think weird line able to pressure and the away and is quite going in faster and 115 of 107 Blitz getting Mamer.
We had that, which is liable up from what was delivered the gate and thing and pulling Christos was unknown. So well a little read back and forth.
All we did think Yorkshire necessarily ball, however to get comfortable and set battered. That's in the Lund.
2 dance and so actually ran to try to get out of it. Set up defense. 7 resting it could be pull on behind the inside no defense. The do from it and back mark and tone of year. Ken bent up his middle. Game 3 positive actually and like it's durable again action but slow down. Ending it be more to with comfort. So won't release this but best random feature out over 1,000 free.
Yeah, about a lot of comment really don't count if I think one's good to get them.
Don't know where with today. She doesn't matter get
to spawn single X. Just telling us that we're pushing the red in rain.
This list is and the paint and there's Rob the directions to joy with most is do
also being if it's new when pulling into the early pipe by 100 tons now you
profits back and what some performance 8 that drop off the way and no 123 a foot jaw I get and connected with on mill but without timing 1,000 again no rounds you can
yeah I think it's not some
also very so the board ready to come to this to it was in time of moves 7 and like shift up to 130 for an 18 round to
it was your mum and well and to find them having really some drivers like rather
on the that and grab lock first during the summer to get a higher shift push and quick the folks in the area hill to the other
I think direction of pulling more activity
hill coach just and it was better to pin with us
I was play tackle being professions better and the
could be do jet that's for is a Jennings 8 7
quite a lot of what would have been got a bit in the last really on being hard.
Around Wick ball to Jennings, who looked his run, losing thing about it.
It's that bit of great you didn't do them, and like, you can see just see then to do it and over that test.
Obviously, been dreadful and fantastic. Teams pro. I think we need to play a certain way to it's for the ball open. I appreciate how hard it is.
A lot in times, so every word.
Jennings got last try start winning it. Also, the thought was moved. So leave down towards the area balls. Well, he was going for it.
It's something we talk about. Playing brave, you with the right intent on the Irish fans. You know, for example, you try to see that, then you're out. Going, that's it's seeing you breathing at the fitness either.
Is the back difference a degree of is it for the rest match? Is it probably different for no?
It's different mindset stuff. And lots of teams using it in a really play it. You know,
bowling, trying to get eye around it, pad or not out.
League champion, his first 50 was quite like the measures of that and just the wrestling.
Let's see where. Right, so the towards the wicket, and then it does reach the rope up on the leg line. There is deep play, short mid kick, not up, and gets himself runs Lancashire to 130.82. I guess that was out. Cricket, the very right in that running against it, he won different, wasn't it? And then exploded in the office. Is it big?
Yeah, the new era England replicate some more Ben style of play. You can only have one Ben Stokes, but you can flip crickets them.
Ball, like best bumps, no run.
Harry Brook, for example, in this early squad always runs at quite a good rate, playing risky shots necessarily.
Stop defence. And again, there's no of the over one. So had the Burt and a mix being positive, wanting to doing it in a counted way.
Yeah, regularly for margins and you're in it, just put that and you want the open and more goes into it's cross. Right, is that all fun?
He's into moving more and more, taking the role and acutely aware of the significant challenges the team faces at present. I see the team emerge as a strong force. Read on. Brendan McCull. As Hill bowls around the fence to the offside, and there is no run. It's Bento, the effect set around.
The good well rated winter is clean style.
Yeah, the defender is more playing the test. Happy dealing, wouldn't it?
Of course, like the farmer.
Unsafe and the over and off. Hill to deadly on tap from Lynn. Fully measured for defence, rated offside for no run. The deep tap neck in on to complete the village. Innings now jam more less. Then Hill to Jennings on to turn the leg. Slip that mid wicket. And again, there is no run. Just looking elsewhere in the LV County Championship in Divisions 1 and Divisions 2. A couple of wickets have fallen, and other now 3 down against Kent, 146 for 3. Hill to Jennings. Oh, that's a cute shot down towards the third man boundary. Adam Lythe and Joe Reuter chasing after it. Jennings has come back for a set, and it will only be 2. Just with his hands towards his hip.
Hill has taken possession of the pitch to try and for it. It's looking to be a nice man, and not no real demons in the pitch, and with the ball, it's you have to find something special.
Accessibly, for 4-3 and North. That's a double shot in partnership between Vascansale and Young. That's a 211 North. Got 114 Young on 140 for 2. And 50 was gone here. Partwick is worth 120 to leave for a couple of days in the commentary box. And we'll bring a dodgy.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be best to continue from this pavilion's end. A couple of hard shots of his LBW, but a real hoping to see it. Crossed right in, no run. Real period of play. We're trying to find my way. Then get the last match into for run. What? That's me.
Yes. Carry on.
It's an
opportunity.
Scully. Bit of width there for cross cutter with or through the cover point region. Bit to lose there from Bass. The pitch has gone away. And he'll know that.
Yeah, good stuff from Crop. Opened up the offside just to move the shoulders. Cut it where. Pretty out there, you can tell. Dom jumper flapping breeze.
Apologies, I was just reading about the updates on live stream. There seems to still be issues on live stream. Out of Yorkshire's control, it's due to network issues in the area, but technicians are working to fix the problem.
Meanwhile, we had a dot.
Dot ball again. I got distracted again by Twitter because the first comment underneath that is, are we absolutely sure it isn't Jonathan Doidge's fault? From a Neil Dutton.
Well, no. Most things are. So, I mean, just stick that one against my name as well. I'll take all offences into account at the same time.
When in doubt,
when
blame
sentencing.
Doidge.
So end of the over, I think there were 2 or 3 dots at the end of that. So Katie's confirming as she disappears off for a rest. She's going to need a rest now. And it's going to be George Hill at the Howard stand end of the ground. And Reedy's update was speedy.
It was.
He's back.
And back to watch Hill start his 6th? Yeah, 6th over. 144 for 2. 132 runs these two now have put on for this 3rd wicket. Jennings drives to mid-off, but for no addition to the score. Picked up by Patterson. Down to Joe Root at first slip. And then there's a gap to Adam Live, who is at Gully. Harry Brook just backward of point. There's a deep extra cover. Mid-off. Extra cover, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. Hill to Jennings, who cuts. One bounce and picked up by Brook. Just backward of point. And there's no run. There's supporters who are inside the ground who were battered with quite a strong, chilly wind in the morning session. At least we've got a bit of sunshine to take the edge off now. The wind is still pretty strong. We can see the trees being buffeted by the breeze, but the sun just taking the edge off, hopefully. As Jennings rather onto the front foot, just eases the ball safely away into the offside. And he jogs through for 1 run and moves on to 65. And Lancashire to 145 for 2. The partnership reaches now 133 between Croft and Jennings. 12 for 2. 1 point this morning, and these two have had a wee bit of good fortune along the way. So Jennings, that from time to time, and they've batted beautifully since lunch. Hill to Croft, who plays a forward defensive and just holds the pose actually. Good stride, and the ball deflects off his bat up to mid-off, and he just stands there holding that pose in his forward defence. Croft. And there is no run. He has his short sleeves on, Croft. Jennings chatted to the umpire, strikers in with his long sleeves on. 2 slips for Croft, clipping the ball off his pads down toward Brook at leg. And he gets a single. He moves to 66. These two have been pretty much neck and neck since they came together. Equal share of the strike, equal share of the runs. 146 for 2 now, with 134 runs added for this 3rd. Ball left of this 52nd over. Lancashire first innings. George Hill is in and to Jennings, who's cutting down towards the wide 3rd man boundary for 4 more. Just a little bit of width offered for Jennings, who's so strong in that region. He was there to be hit, and he sliced it away down towards the boundary. And George Hill collects his cap and his jumper, having seen that last ball of that over disappear down to the rope. And Jennings moves on to 69, and that brings up the 150 as well for Lancashire. 150 for 2 at the end of the 50th.
They've got a bit of their so far, and the match so far been put into bat. And that 12 for 2 could have been significant burst of takers, but they didn't. And again, there is that's 100 is fair. And bowling to Croft, return on the. There's no ball down leg as well. Bricks in catches in. Shows me maybe if there's in the back. That's a little pad boom. Don't do a dot. Snap. Holman. He's Holman. I'd like to live around dot. And no run against the. The point of the enemy. That's an option. He's the hat top. Of course, right. This leg ball is turned into leg side and Brook short mid wicket till nowhere. With 100. And they. Lord replied just yet as Messi in front of square. While Duke scampers out from behind stumps.
I'm going to say, Dodge, you got me off to work this morning and told me that you had my notebook, my Star Wars notebook. It's such a nice way to start the day for me, like.
Beth, round about leg stump, turn back at a square, and there's no run to complete that 53rd over of the day. 150 for 2, Jennings 69, Croft 66. Have you always been a big fan?
Well, I have, but can I? But I have, but can I just say what? I can't believe you'd not messaged me to say, by the way, in all this time that I've been longing and searching for it.
Are you sure I didn't?
I don't remember you messaging me. Because it's troubled me for some time. Because it's the Rise of Skywalker notebook. It's got a fantastic, and you can open it both ways. You there isn't a front cover. They're both in theory front covers. You can flip it the other way, and it's got this lovely blue background and all the characters on there. It's obviously Luke and Finn and R2D2 and BB-8 and all the characters are all on there. And I'd only had it for a little short while, and I just assumed I'd lost it, but I'd left it here. So is it this last season, and the season before last season?
Yes, last season. Yeah.
I'm glad you've got it, Doji. I was missing it. Joe Root is going to have a ball for Yorkshire, and you've got Keaton Jennings on strike and a slip in place. Here's Root around the wicket, balls to Jennings. And that's worked up towards mid-on. And there is no run. I've got 3 Star Wars notebooks. Previous 2 are all fully used. There's not a page spare. There's Root balls to Jennings. Play back along the ground to Root, and again there's no run. But my third one, not been touched or barely been touched. And I'm very grateful to Mike as root balls to Jennings. That's worked out towards backward square leg for no run. Who knows I'm a Star Wars fan and has seen previously my collections of my Star Wars notebooks. And Mike Birtwistle operates the electronic scoreboard at Old Trafford, and he brought it back from America for me, that book. I never had the heart to say I'd left it somewhere. Root to Jennings, who's playing forward in defence, and there's no run. So I am delighted that it's not been lost.
Yeah, the next issue of concern here is that, having told you I have it, which I do, I don't know where quite I have it now. I knew for months, but then I moved.
There's Root to Jennings, who goes back and works it off the hip out towards deep backward square leg for 1 loose to safety. 1-5-1 for 2.
I moved a couple of months ago, you see.
That's
so
taking the edge off.
I've not lost it. Don't worry, but I'm not sure. It was one of those probably thrown in a box at the last minute, and it might be under another pile of boxes.
At the last
placed lovingly in a box
at the last minute.
Placed lovingly in a box at the last minute, possibly, or it could be in. I just don't know where it is. Okay. It might be easily to hand when I do go for a look for it for you. Okay, which I obviously better do tonight. I don't want to sleep tonight now, will I?
Slipping a leg slip as Root comes in and balls to Croft. And that's just pushed away back down the pitch and gathered by Root off his own bowling. And there's no run. He was quickly through the over. Just the 1 run off it. Lancashire 1-5-1 for 2. Jennings on 70. And Croft on 60.
You know when we should not say anything.
Yeah, I've already tested pictures. That Star Wars happened. Thankfully,
so this, if this doesn't resurface, it's not. In your memory, it's not going to be your own carelessness for leaving it behind here in the Headingley commentary box last season. It's going to be my carelessness for taking it home with care for you, looking after it, nurturing it for the entire winter, and then not quite knowing where it was in the spring because I moved.
It's like I've lost it for a second time.
Bess round the wicket. Jennings pushes into the offside. Brooke fires it back to Duke. No run. I'm feeling nervous now.
It's okay, Doji. I appreciate you picking it up in the first place. It was my carelessness. My fault.
Here's Bess again. Cut and dropped by Adam Lythe at slip. Keaton Jennings surviving a second.
I think it's the third
chance. Third.
I think Brooke may have put him down this morning, and Duke before that. But that certainly, I think, of the 3, will be the one that would be quite difficult to take the most from the Yorkshire captain. He'd back himself live to take it 9-10 out of 10.
There's Bess. Jennings pushing forward. Still can't believe it, Don Bess. He did show some frustration at drop last week, and it was mentioned by me in his post-match interview. Apologised for that, but just it was frustration, he said, in the moment. Here he is, angled in from one off dump. Jennings pushes back over. So we think that's 4 now, do we? Or 3?
Yeah, 3.
I'll give a jump. Jennings pushing forward outside off around to field once more. It's almost taken on epidemic proportions so far this season. .151 for 2. Bess short of length. Jennings rocks back and just eases that with a cut into the off fielding. End of the over. And plenty of applause from the Headingley faithful. Jordan Thompson, he's had him dropped before, and he just gives Bess a pat on the back as he walks away off to his fielding position.
Well, Dave Townsend mentioned this in the morning. Keaton Jennings will be determined to try and make the most, not of 1 but 2 but 3 lives he's had here. He scored a century last week. It was his first game for 9 months. Didn't play any kind of second team cricket, didn't play any kind of pre-season stuff because he got injured in pre-season. Not played a competitive game of cricket for 9 months and returned with a century last week. Here's Root to Croft, who's forward in defence. And the ball bounces back down to Root. Scoops it up off his own bowling. Goes back to his marks. In the other, he's around the wicket to Croft. Croft hit ball over the onside. It's a big hit from Croft out towards a wide, long on boundary. He's hit it for 6. With the field up, Croft got plenty of that and went up and over the top and moves on to 72 out to 145. Whenever one of these on a little bit quicker or moves just a little bit further forward, the other one seems to find the draw level. And again, Croft and Jennings are pretty neck and neck. Root tells me on to back to long on. Banged in short by Root. I think he attempted a bouncer from Joe Root. And over the top of Croft it went, and the keeper got on that. How dare you hit me for 6? I'm going to bounce you the next delivery. Root back into Croft, who defends into the onside, and there is no run. Picked up a mid-wicket. No Root. 1-5. Root off. And he on 73.
Jared, because then how we go on your it might be huge plus the word last week, plus 5 things off. I'll see it well.
Take the things on to the peculiar which takes out ball. 5 to Mark. Croft has 23. 1. He sells to remain days. Now they get him 9 for you. I think Dean
Again out the box. He's floating up to Jennings. It's a testing whistle. This is Von, but that's for sending a list of bowling speed so far recorded. It's Ralph. Well, you won't be surprised to hear he's bowled the biggest delivery of 80, averaging 84.14. The bowler. Over the Croft and pushes back to him. Jordan Thompson, maximum speed today so far of 79.4, an average of 77.33. Bess again, it's just wide of off stump, and Croft rocks back and cuts. Milan giving chase, and they're back for a comfortable 2. Stephen Patterson, Yorkshire captain. He's bowled a quickest delivery of 73.2 and an average of 70.90. And applause for the 150 partnership with that too as well. It's been an excellent effort from this pair. They've ridden their luck, but they're still there. Jennings 70 from this partnership, and 75 of them to the man on strike, Stephen Croft, who drives quite firmly past the outstretched arm of the rolling Don Bess. It's gone to Patterson, no run. Tom Lowton's maximum speed 80.20, averaging 76.3. And George Hill maximum 76.8, averaging 74.68. If you like your bowling speeds, there you have them. As Bess is in, and that's put back by Croft to the bowler.
Yeah, all a bit sort of military, isn't it? The attack of it, apart from a Harris Ralph.
Here's Bess. Turned in the onside of Brookfield, and the over 75. Manual 50 and 50 overs. 35. And 162.
You've got 3 of those, well, 4 really. You've got Pato. He is different, isn't he, Pato, with his sort of consistency and the different lines. But these are in there, Thompson and Scott and Loudon. What's the same? Started a new over from Root to Wicket. To be there. The temperance decision to ask Lancashire. Every from Root to the Roots get quit. I was saying, captain into me. Deliver nerd on the bitter.
We have a Off this year, like premium stands like that. And
Yes. Yeah, it's a new deal, is it? The Howard stand at that far end there was. Yeah, well, it used to be the Emerald stand, didn't it? Fairly sure. You'd have thought a big new stand like that, they'd have had a 10-year deal or something. He's only been up. Well, I don't think dear old Callie ever saw it finished.
I wouldn't have done.
Did it happen in 2018?
It wasn't finished when I first did games in 19.
Forward, Sylvia. They tried it for the.
Remember, the stewards, we'd almost commentate on stewards, there was nobody in there, and we'd dot around and things like that.
Ah, dear. Followers, and we often commentate on stewards.
There was a marvel delivery by the carrier from right left.
And final route, just turned quietly round the corner, no run there. So he's through his over less than 2 minutes, isn't he? Route, which is great for the rate, and I suppose Yorkshire thinking towards that new ball, but they've got a way to go yet. Another 22 overs. 58 have been bowled so far. Lancashire in the ascendancy. Well, certainly wasn't that way first thing this morning.
Penny Sutcliffe in Pudsey says, "Oh my goodness, more drops, no words," which is
Penny.
Which is orcs when sending words via email.
True.
Best round the wicket. Jennings pushing back to the bowler.
I mean, we say that lithe one at slip was a drop, but my word, it would have been a good catch if he'd have clung on to it. It was going, well, it was a full-blooded shot off the edge. Went very, very quickly to him.
Best to Jennings, who turns leg, and there's no run. Malcolm Palmer says, "You always know somebody's going to criticise when they say, I am reluctant to criticise, but..." Best Paskers. You feed by Jed, bowlers between Henderson and Nicholas, and for Fort Morkin on 7 for 2. So I'm reluctant to criticise decisions to put the opposition in are looking increasingly dodgy. Though dropped catches have been in some trouble. Had they been taken, he might have looked better. Come on, you tight.
Who was that about that?
That was Malcolm about Pato's decisions at the toss, as Jennings turns that to leg, and there is no run.
Well, you see, Malcolm, I've got a different view to that. I think that Patterson's thinking, with this attack he's got here, is he really going to bowl a strong Lancashire batting side out in the fourth innings?
Here's Bess. It's slanted down the leg side. It caught something on the way past Harry Duke, and it was the leg of Keaton Jennings, because that is 4 leg buys. 171 for 2. One to come in the 59th. Elmel says, "Hey up, Jonathan. I'm getting concerned about our bowling attack. We seem to look a bit threadbare and not much of a threat. Felt the same the last match. The batting's strong, but the bowling's weak. Do you agree?" Here's Bess to Jennings. Use of feet from Jennings again. Drives it straight back at the bowler's stumps. Don't think Bess got a hand on, but if he did, there was no appeal. And they've got through for a single as it diverted off away to the left from where we're looking. Yeah, I think the Yorkshire bowling attack could be stronger, but we know it could be stronger, don't we? Because there is, of course, no England international Matthew Fisher on the sidelines. There is no Ben Code, new ball bowler, on the sidelines. There is no Dominic Leach, who would be the natural quicker bowler replacement if that's the way they were looking. He's also out injured, and Matthew Revis being rested, I think, for this one. It's a busy start to the season. But yeah, go. Route, and that's turned to leg this time by Keaton Jennings. No, already takes your over, isn't it? It's getting carried away with it. Graham Emerson thinks that Yorkshire will make of it. 4 or 5 missed catches might cost them, and only in session 2.
The next delivery from Root is outside the leg stump and just helped around the corner, just really paddled around the corner there by left-handed Jennings. Didn't try to hit that one, just helped it on its way. Got a couple of months' time that would have probably raced away to the boundary, but outfield here is a bit slow. You got another one there?
I've got Lily sticking up for me.
I was going to say, we heard from Lily today. Root round the wicket to the left-hander, and Jennings covers up, no run.
Lily says, please stop blaming JD. I know they don't really mean it, do they? The 3 of them at the back of the box here. That's your cue to all shake your heads and say no.
Root bowls, and again Jennings helps that one round the corner. He's got a bit more on this one. Still not going to reach the boundary though. Harry Brook in pursuit. Sends in his throw. 2 more to Jennings. And he now moves. I think that moves him into the 80s, does it? Oh, he's in 82. Actual fact, 76 or 2 there earlier in this over.
The 80s, but
Yes. Again, he gets to the other side of Harry Brook. He's just backwards square. Around Jordan Thompson does the fielding. And, well, that's 2. Oh, this over at Shore Leg. Jennings does with this one bowls. That's more on the line, just defensively pushed up to short extra cut. What have you been blaming you for then? I must have missed that when I slipped out of the box too.
Anything, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Passing aircraft noise.
Not
Lack of attrition at lunch. Poor commentary rota.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. But very nice flapjacks. Always nice to be fed.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've been fed better, but always nice to be fed.
Best then into Croft, who pushes back to him. First ball of this 61st over, as it now is. And there's no run approaching T, which of course is scheduled to be 340, but not until, they won't be walking off until 32 overs remain. So they'll be a little late, but they have speeded things up a little as well in the last half hour or so. Bessie's latest delivery pushed into the offside when Milan hit around.
I think all
Is
well bowled.
Yeah, pushed out into the offside by Croft. Right sort of area. Didn't quite draw Croft forward, but what his intent was in a certain line was surfing. Croft now 166 within 4. And just raised down this time best than that offset. The ball's been helped on its way, and it's been held on its way all to Ben out in the shape of the Howard Downs. More to Croft 790. What's your view?
Nice little tickle. Experienced batsmen, both well established and able to just work the ball into the gap.
It was a tickle, not a nickel or a dangle.
What do we have? A nick and a tickle. A nickel.
Pretty hard, as I said. Evidence on the trees up top of the western side of the ground. In comes Bess, and that turned in square on the leg side by Croft. And there is no run.
They did through 14 Lancashire to
Lefty took it 5 back into the city field, but then over tunes on 3 16 ahead for success.
mighty blow that one down to the far corner of the ground. Looking a cold that the
The throttle T. We're going to have another try if I work for a 20 them.
Wheeling on my own. Practice is down. And the wicket to Jennings live made him all a single gets him off just for the right hander. Patterson just away. Palm's ball ultimately sweeps away a little movement and that's it's stopped. So maybe just letting in.
And that's his top 4 weeks of firmly at whoever it is in the right was had run decision.
Yeah, after doing a little bit that's like his pitch off the lap. Yorkshire's this next delivery again just coming in a tad off the seam there and helped on its way down to deep backward square. 1 run.
I think one of the things we admire about Stephen Patterson is that people think it's fairly simple. You walk back to mark, turn round, run in, bowl, same ball. It's actually pretty damn difficult to do, DT. Ball after ball after ball. It might seem simple in theory.
Yeah, people like to experiment, don't they? Patterson. Just slightly over pitches this time, driven back to him, he gets a hand to it, takes the pace of it. It's a great temptation, say, from certainly younger bowlers, that if they haven't achieved anything 5 or 6 deliveries, they'll try and start of the next over, they'll try something different, they'll try a bouncer or they'll try change attack. What Patterson does, he went on C4 and That's driven back to him, hands to head. Was that a chance?
No, I think he drove it into the ground, and I think it was just more. He stuck his hand out and half stopped it, and that did the job. To be fair, it might have been 4 because it was going probably straight over the top of the stumps, sort of umpire area.
Well, I thought that was a original immediately in the head. And we haven't got our screen there. We go. Pass again. Again, driving slightly uppishly, just wide of a short extra.
I did show you how to turn that on and off. We're not listening or watching.
Well, don't do it then.
You press the standby button, but there you go. You see,
oh, it's coming on.
That was really difficult, that wasn't it?
What had happened to it then? Why did you turn it off?
It just goes off on standby. Do you understand what standby means?
Is it like stand by your beds?
Yeah, what we do when you walk into the com box. On morning, to be fair. Before 25 for 2, Jennings 86 at Crop 80, partnership worth 173. They're all the figures. But what you don't appreciate in all of that is that Yorkshire have put down, we think, 4 catches. If that Patterson one in the last over was a chance, then 5. But I think it hit the turf on its way through.
Yeah, I think he drove it into the ground, didn't he?
Best bowling there to Jennings. That's like there's no run. So they've been 6 possibly downs. A chance of being taken the minute on this. So they've been similar chances for the players. Best Jennings got the faceman's point where Ralph fits.
Yeah, but certainly
neither
one of these two would have made figures of those early chunks. Thinks he's in with the swing jade.
Bat in cut by Jennings. Uncovered kill. Looks like he managed to see that a little bit more than some delivery. And Jennings is patient enough to wait. Pushes to Brook in the offside. Bet again. And Jennings stepping back and playing a cut shot which goes strangely enough to actually cover where Harry Brook does the fielding.
You feel at the moment that Yorkshire are just waiting for something to happen rather than trying to.
Yes, Jennings 10 overs, 3 maidens off for 20 to name, 53 over on this day of first race 22. You're on the put in, and the Lankies are 185 for 2.
Particularly with this, I thought 56 for 2 at the start of this session. So that's
53 for 2.
53 for 2. Sorry, can't read your handwriting there, Janie.
Good job, because I'd written 53 for 3 down. I had to change it to 2. I was just wishful thinking, I think.
Patterson starts the last over before tea, and this time he doesn't even pick the ball up and throw it to Harry Brook. He just kicks it dismissively to Brook, and there's no run to be had there. So very much Lancashire's session. I think we'll hear from the applause at tea as to how many Lancashire fans have made the journey here. There's a good championship crowd in as Patterson bowls and Crofts now decided he's playing for tea. That was just a solid shot up to Brook at short extra. Couple of slips still in place. They're having a natter. Lythe and the former England skipper Joe Root. Duke there as well. Patterson bowls, and again the broad bat, the maker's name, is shown to him. That's pushed out to extra cover. Doidge has decided to do his post-tea rota. Few people just slipping off for a cuppa early. Patterson bowls, and again that ball just angling into the batsman, and this time it is played on the onside with the movement. Comfortable enough single to the tall figure of Lattin. You got enough space on there? Yeah, you won't need 6:10 to 6:30, will you? Finish by then, finish before then. You're not sure. time's the official close? 6 o'clock. Pat's an interesting field here for these last couple of deliveries. Jennings, but he still finds a way through it. He got a very straight mid-off and a short mid-off, which was Lithe who'd come out from second slip, and the more orthodox short extra cover, and it's just hit wide of the short extra cover out to the sweep on the boundary for a single. So Jennings moves on to 87, Croft 81, 175 runs these two have added. Tremendous effort for the Red Rose. Patterson bowls again. Croft defends. Seen that a few times, that over. Applause you can hear around the ground, because that is the tea interval on the first day of this Roses match here at Headingley. Yorkshire won the toss. They had some early success. 2 wickets down for just 12 runs. Couple of drop catches, and then it's all been Keaton, Jennings and Croft. Between them, they've added 175 runs. Great effort for this third wicket, and more to come after tea, you would think, unless Yorkshire can just find a new line of attack. So tea 187 for 2.
Yep, 187 for 2. That's it from DT and myself. And the rest of the team for the moment. We'll be back after tea. And for listeners to Radio 5 Sports Extra, I'll hand you back to Kevin Howells. And we'll see you very shortly indeed.
to the first punch of the field full of the middle. Looks like to be Steve Blackthorne and Bounties and so far morning's not different. And for in case the voice was in this where in on confident arm and keeping out and neglect coming live lost Steve on cross you and under 90 so he's in all the full top. He's driven on the ground for 4 more by Keaton Jennings with that full end and get the Jen went down to straight up series to start the first Raptors on 25 on 95
hopefully Flusner.
Also, the party bet in biting around and ball, and as he to the sheet and really open you and back on the upper into the lip on the ground. Well, let's go.
I'm not sure. Just didn't reverse you in if the ball, but I think that obviously was handing for the last trying to go in here.
Took it with muscle to his spin and ball off to sleep back together for 1 run. Things on the score like it. The 196 for the ring Stephen Croft on strike for the first time in the mechanism.
We need to find something that's gone a little bit like last session after the lunch. Like really done in the past year, really well. The crash so far, scenario that you're not high. That's transition.
This more the ground soft. And this dropped in the ground. Deep then getting to 82. Go 7 to 4 match 4 hours. A couple of fluid, but bad. You're able to get to 2 weeks down back through the mid session there. Ralph balls to Jennings who drives, and the ball's bouncing up towards mid. No, right. It's the end of the first over after tea. And Lancashire on 197 for 2. Jennings on 96 and Croft on 8. But it does look, and I think all morning look at the spins that we look at from. It does look at the baton.
Yeah, and it's been a good pitch so far in the kicking here. Through, you got your money worth shots. Quite a few shots. I wouldn't if it's again but toss the less what much arrogance yes while it's stealing because you could go either. It's just it'd be nice to just you think that would team.
Okay, should try and make the most of the opportunity first. So we see Stephen Patterson to open up from the rope stand end. 2 short mid wickets and 2 slips. He comes bounding in and balls to Croft and foot and pushing out into the offside. And there is no run. There's a deep backward square leg. The 2 mid wickets and mid on and mid off, extra cover and backward point for Patterson, who is wicketless today, but he has created chances. Croft certainly presenting with a couple of opportunities. Sorry, Jennings with a couple of opportunities in his morning spell with the bat. And Croft as well. This is nudged away into the onside by Stephen Croft, picked up at mid wicket. There's no run, so he's probably a little bit unlucky, Patterson.
Yeah, that's what Yorkshire will really be mad at themselves about. Is there has been chances. It's not been completely chanceless innings from either of them, and we've allowed them to get away now and both put on some good runs, and they're really putting away the bad balls. Well, creates opportunities because they are few and far between so far.
Patterson with the wicket and ball Croft. That's again defender back off. Deliberately and carefully in the ball up towards mid-on for no run. Been a mark of the innings actually, hasn't it, by the 2 batters. They've had a wee bit of good fortune along the way, but the defence has been good. They've left the ball, they've defended well. It's been a really patient innings. It's been impressive from these 2. 185 runs these 2 have now put on. Croft on 82. Passes balls and Croft working off his table swelling on best. Best dad knows we like soup ball. Throws in his end, but Croft and Jennings are safe for 1 from the town. Lancashire 198.
Yeah, it's one of those players that does try and create a bit of energy, fizzing the ball out just a little bit. There's got a little bit out that we need to make something at the Yorkshire team that you easily on this sort of deck, and so you need to just try and lift it and try and get a bit of momentum from somewhere.
Yeah, a bit of it from somewhere. Yorkshire in a good evening session. Try and get in amongst Lancashire if they can. Patterson bowling to Jennings. He hits it down the ground. Croft has to dance out the way of the non-striker's end, and it's not been picked up cleanly. Croft wasn't aware of this. Jennings wanted to come back for 2, but Croft had run and actually carried on running beyond the cut strip and was 2 yards beyond the stumps, and then realised that Jennings was second because he wasn't aware of the misfield.
That little bit might be needed to make him a reliable fielder. He's one of the better ones for the Yorkshire team, and you think if he picks that up and gives it a score.
Which moves on to 97. Gets back final ball of the over. The first one set down by Patterson this evening. And Croft defends one that's angled in toward. And there is no. So that completes the over. 199 for 2. Jennings on 97 and Croft on 83. So Lancashire a run away from a batting bonus point. Yorkshire a wicket away from a bowling bonus point. The first one secured of this Roses fixture between 2 sides who are 3rd and 4th in Division 1 heading into this game here At Headingley, Surrey are the leaders and Hampshire are second. Hampshire aren't playing this week, but Surrey are the 206 for 3 actually in their first innings. Ollie Pope 51 not out, Ben Folkes unbeaten on 35. They're top of Division 1 at a pretty early stage, mind you. Ralph bowling to Jennings, who's 97 not out, and that's pushed wide of off stump. It's a full ball but wide and ignored by Jennings. He walks away towards square leg, and there is no run. For listeners on Sports Extra who may have just joined us, the County Championship, every round of fixtures problems today with the weather. We'll keep you up to date with the scores as they progress as well. The Indian Premier League taking place as well. There's a game involving Chennai and Mumbai. We'll keep an eye on that for you as well. In, but on the leg side to Jennings, taken by Duke, and there is no run. Scott Reed and Katie Levick to start you off in this evening session. Jonathan Doige and Dave Townsend with us as well for this Roses fixture, where Yorkshire, the White Rose, need a good evening session. Need some wickets from somewhere. 187 runs, Jennings and Croft so far. Still with 2 gullies. Ralph over the way, more wide, and made no run. Quirky looking field, isn't it, with the 2 slips, 2 gullies?
Yeah, obviously still trying to force it, attacking field, but he's just not quite found his line or length yet, Ralph. He's not been able to put a string of balls together in a consistent area to try and force a shot, or we saw Jennings happy to run it down into that area quite a lot earlier on in the day, but really need to just get some sort of consistency to try and force that shot.
He's pushed 1 down the leg side and 2 across him. This one is slightly tighter, it gets him playing actually. Nudges it off the back foot into the offside, but thinks of a single. Croft says there isn't one there. Wise move actually, because Don Bess was quick across the ground and extra cover to field, and there's no run.
Every time I mentioned that it was an interesting toss this morning here, I was just looking at the scores and noticed that Warwickshire won the toss in their fixture, of which Northampton are now 287 for none. So it could be worse, Yorkshire fans.
Blimey, yeah, spare a thought for Will Rhodes. This is nudged away off the hit by Jennings, down to fine leg. He needs 3 for a century. He'll come back and look at 2, and he'll take his total on to 99. A good piece of work actually on the long leg boundary. It does bring up the 200 that for Lancashire, 201 for 2. So they secure their first bonus point of the match. Jennings is edging towards 3 figures as well. Beaten on 99. Keaton Jennings. And we're going to change the field. There's a deep point. He's brought up. It's a deep point, 2 slips. Extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, long leg. Ralph to Jennings, it's forward and pushes into the offside. Picked up at extra cover, and there's no run, so that completes the over. 201 for 2. Jennings 99. Croft on 83. Just looking at that Northants game, Katie, as well. The 2 openers there. Vasconcelos, 156 not out. And Will Young on 112 not out. So a mammoth score, isn't it, for the first wicket partnership? And you say Warwickshire won the toss. The Bears said, you know what, we fancy a bowl. Come
to Fortress Hedge, Raston, and we'll put you in. It's gone very well so far for him.
Oh dear. The defending champions, Warwickshire. They're at tea in that game. Surrey are at tea as well, 206 for 3. Against, in fact, they're just resuming after tea against Kent. Croft defends up to mid-on, but for no run as Patterson comes in from the rugby stand end. And Somerset are 230 for 3 against Gloucestershire in the Cider Derby. Loving that. Are there 2, I'm going to show my ignorance now, are there 2 different types of cider? Do Gloucester produce a certain type of cider compared to Somerset? Or is it just that, is it a rivalry over who has the best type of cider? Or is it just the cider derby because everyone loves cider?
I mean, not a cider drinker myself. I think there's cider, isn't there?
Well, can you have like a pear cider and an apple cider? You
can have different fruits, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so is one more connected to the other county? Patterson to Croft, that's driven away up towards mid-off. Croft gets through for 1. He moves on to 84, 202 for 2. Because the pairs are Worcestershire, I think. So, but I just wonder whether does one county specialise in a certain...
Surely it's just like who's better.
Who's better?
Who creates the better quality.
And who drinks more.
There's no difference between a red and a white rose other than the colour. So.
Well, that's true. No, that's very true. Just who's got the best flavoured cider. It's a magnificently named derby. Jennings on 99. Here's Patterson into Keaton Jennings, who hits it back down the ground. Ooh, that's cute by Patterson. He's just deflected it onto the stumps at the non-striker's end with Croft backing up. But Croft must have been back. That's cheeky, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those ones where Croft was just having a little wander, and I thought, oh, is he short of his ground there? But must have been safely back. But talking of the cider derby, I would be happy to go and cover it and try and do some undercover investigation.
It's very noble of you, that.
Yeah.
It's committed, is that?
Putting it out there.
Yeah. Patterson to Jennings. That's across him and through to the keeper. There's no run. I don't know whether there's a different one county specialises in one type of side. I'm sure people from Somerset and Gloucestershire would be very proud of, and rightly so, of their history of many other things apart from cider.
Is there a lager derby then around the counties? Because again, I would be happy to cover that.
Which two counties would contest the lager derby? We could maybe associate drinks with what we think of stereotypical images of different counties. It could be a dangerous route to go down.
But what fun going down it though.
Yes. Patterson for Yorkshire. Balls to Jennings. It's driven. And there's no run. Yorkshire are doing all they can here. They've got a slip in place. They've got the gully. They've got the backwood point. They've got 2 short extra covers and a cover and a mid-off. And Patterson, just going to try and toy about top of off stump, just outside, and see if he can force an error from Jennings, maybe?
Yeah, he's that sort of niggly little pace that you're hoping that Jennings is going to be early on one and just chip one up to one of those two guys in close.
2 balls left of this over. Patterson to Jennings up onto his toes, just dropping it into the offside. And those 2 fielders are scampering up quickly to, again, deny the possibility of a run. It's the end of another over. 202 for 2. Jennings 99 not out. Stephen Croft on 84. This partnership is worth 190 runs between Jennings and Croft. We've had 68 overs of the Lancashire first innings.
Almost the perfect time for a Richie Benno impression.
It is, yeah.
Not that I'm offering it up for myself, but I was trying to throw you under the bus there.
No, it's all right. I'm not massive on my impressions. Jonathan Doidge is quite a big fan of impressions, isn't he? Maybe we'll, if the score repeats itself later in the game, we'll get him to serve it up. Croft on 84. Here's Ralph in. Bowls a short ball. Croft pivots back and pulls high down towards the long leg, fine leg boundary. This cries of catch it there. I'm not entirely certain that Croft himself knew exactly where it had gone. Balloon down towards the fine leg boundary. He gets 1 run for it, but a little streaky for Croft. He moves on to 85. Lancashire 203 for 2.
Yeah, the first time a short ball's ever looked to actually trouble anyone on this pitch. Must have just not climbed as high as he thought and more of a top edge there. But safely it fell before the fine leg fielder in the end.
So it brings Jennings back on to strike. Scored a century here for Lancashire against Yorkshire last season. Looking to do it again. Ralph in and bowls a short ball and he just drops his hands and allows that one to go through to the keeper and there's no run. Interesting ploy that actually from Ralph to Jennings there to drop short.
He's been having those nervy thoughts. Now he's on 99. He's battled for a long old time here. He's got 264 minutes at the crease and we're hoping that he'll be desperate to just get that one single and maybe play a little rash shot that he's not necessarily played so far this innings.
Yeah, no sign of it as yet. Off to Jennings. He's defending the ball, just pushing it out into the offside. There is no run. So with those 2 slips and the 2 gullies, the point as well. Extra cover, mid-off and a mid-on. And a long leg. Ralph running in with Jennings on 99. Again, that's pushed forward and angled across the Lancashire tall left-hander and through to the keeper, and there is no run.
Try to tempt him in that channel to try and maybe put a little dangle of a bat out there, but Jennings showing that composure, and he's not going to play anything he doesn't have to in this innings.
Looking for back-to-back centuries to start his season, Keaton Jennings. Looking for successive centuries against Yorkshire as well in Rose's fixtures. Ralph in and bowls, that's driven, one bouncing into the ground, and Don Best is quickly across it, extra cover to field. Throws into the gloves of the keeper, and there's no run. Stephen Croft has a little wander down. Punch of the gloves with Keaton Jennings. 2 experienced players here. Croft has been a Lancashire player for 15 years or more now. Jennings, of course, playing at the very highest level for England as recently as 2019. In his last appearance in the Test side was in the Caribbean, England's tour of the West Indies in 2019. Ralph over the wicket, ball short to Jennings, up onto his toes again, and guides the ball down towards the gully region, and there is no run. They're doing all they can here, Yorkshire, to try and keep Jennings kind of tied down in the late 90s. He's 99 not out, 203 for 2 at the end of the 69th over.
Yeah, you'd think, was he not on 99 with that ball he just had, it would probably rock back and pull. The short balls haven't looked too dangerous, they've sort of stuck in the wicket so far, but in and behind and making no risky moves at this stage, desperately thinking about that century.
Stephen Croft, by the way, in this innings has reached now 9,000 first-class career runs through the course of today. So a milestone for Croft, reaching 9,000 first-class runs.
Just showing his level of experience there.
The keeper standing up with Root kind of fly slip behind him, 2 short mid-wickets. Croft gets in behind and defends the ball into the onside. There is no run. I mean, are Yorkshire doing here? Because there's not much happening off the pitch or indeed through the air. The new ball is 11 overs away. Just a case of just try and tie Lancashire down a little bit. I mean, the way that they're set up gives the impression that they just want to make this as difficult as they can and try and frustrate Lancashire here.
Yeah, definitely been saying just not built pressure for any consistent length of period so far in this game.
Patterson over the wicket, balls, and Croft defends to mid-on, and there's no run.
And with a player such as Croft that's got so many years of experience and being involved in these battles, you know, these interesting fielding setups, we've trying to put the doubt into his mind about what shots he can play, try and make him probably play a rash shot, try and bash those 2 in-close fielders out of the game. But he's looked very composed so far.
Yep, that's been the word to describe it, the composure shown by the 2 of them. Patterson brings Croft in defence and there's no run. Perhaps helped even more so by the keeper standing up. It just generates that extra sense of you being kind of tied down a little bit and cramping the batter for room and trying to keep the pressure on, something Yorkshire have not been able to do so far throughout the course of this match, with the exception of kind of the first half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. Patterson bowls and Croft drives, will be cut off at mid-off, and there is no run, 203 for 2.
Yeah, as much as batting's about partnerships, bowling very much so is as well, and Yorkshire throughout this have always had one that sort of leaked a few runs and then eased any pressure they managed to build from the other end. Patterson's, as always, being ever reliable with his lines and lengths, but he's not been able to really rely on anyone at the other end to help build that pressure. So we're hoping this is the start of that period for Yorkshire now.
Patterson bowls and Croft, again content to defend, just dabs it carefully along the ground, picked up at mid-on, and there's no run. 1 ball left. for Croft, who's 85 not out. Partnership worth 191. Jennings on 99. I must actually say, I mentioned that Jennings looking for back-to-back hundreds in Rose's match. He's actually looking for 3 on the spin. This, if he gets it, would be his 3rd successive century against Yorkshire for Lancashire. Scored centuries in both games last year. As Patterson's up to Croft, and that's eased away towards mid-on, and there is no run. It's the end of the over. Lancashire 203 for 2. 70 overs gone, so Yorkshire are 10 away from a second new ball becoming available for them to use. Jennings has 99 and Croft has 85. And DT is going to clear his throw. And Jonathan Dodge is going to come in, and the pair of them will take Keaton Jennings to a century.
Well, I'm sure that's what all Lancashire fans are hoping. Yorkshire fans probably wouldn't deny him a single, and then if he was to promise to get out immediately afterwards, but we're desperately trying to take his wicket here. So Ralph to the left-handed Jennings bowls, and a big appeal there. What's happened there, Dodgy? Because he's tried to run it down to 3rd man, and somehow it's gone through to the keeper. He must have just got a little something on it.
Yeah, I think it went underneath the bat, bottom edge of the bat.
How's it got down to where it did with the keeper? It's an odd one. Maybe just caught the shirt or something on the way through. Bowling with a bit of zip, isn't he? Harris Ralph, as he comes in again to Jennings on 99, who just basically allows that one to go through. He's got experience, and he's not going to have that dabble outside. What was it, sir? A nickel or something outside the
nickel, a dabble, a
cross
dibble
between a nick and a tickle. As we're plugging away, as I thought earlier, Ralph bowled too much outside, or too far outside off stump with this 7-2 field, but he's got the field again. 2 slips, 2 gullies, point extra cover mid-off. Jennings on 99. He's struck on the pad. A big shout for LBW, but no way it was that going to be out. We could have given that one not out from up here. I think JD pitching outside leg, and might just have clipped a leg stump on its way through, but it certainly pitched a good 6 inches outside leg.
It's a brave umps who gives those, I think, on 99.
Or a not very good one who gives that on 99, because I mean that would have been a cracking delivery to a right-hander, just pitching outside off, hitting him in line. But here we go again, Jennings 99. And that's turned into the onside. There's the cheer from the Lancashire fans. A chase round the boundary from deep backward square leg. Jennings is back for 102 runs, 101 runs rather, to the Lancashire opener. And those runs have come off 207 balls. And he's hit 16 fours. So splendid innings from the former England opener.
Yep, 22nd first-class century to go with 31 halves as well. And averaging, 34.4 prior to this innings getting underway. His 150th first-class match, this. Nice way to bring up the landmark.
Ralph bowls to him again, pushed into the offside, sets off a quick single, shy at the stumps. They could come back for 2, but no overthrow there as Croft had run through the crease. So single more to Keaton Jennings. Effort from him. He was very, very watchful, very circumspect early on. Had a bit of luck. Got dropped at least a couple of times. But has kicked on in the afternoon session in these first few overs after tea. 97 on his back as Ralph runs away from us and bounces. Croft who just ducks under that one, almost sort of contemptuously, wasn't going to have anything about that situation.
Going to be update time for BBC Radio Leeds shortly. Stand by your beds and all of that. Alan Swinburne, by the way, is having a pop at the video stream, buffering every 30 seconds, even after tea. It's a problem, I think, with the Wi-Fi still, as far as the streaming service is concerned, Alan, rather than your own. Although you have tagged in Essex cricket, and that was last week's match. And Essex have very droll. They've replied to the tweet saying, "Are we winning?" Or maybe you are watching last week's pictures. They're still available on YouTube. 206 for 2. Jennings 102, Croft 85. Partnership 6 shy of 200 as Jennings watches one go by his off stump from Patterson. Lee Palmer says, "Nice to hear the third voice today, DO Cricket. Great comms all the way around." It's update time. Your very own beleaguered Jonathan Doidge. It's the Roses match, Rima, and I'm afraid, 2 hours since we last spoke? There ain't been another Lancashire wicket fallen since then. They're 206 for 2. Keaton Jennings, who's in and playing his 150th first-class game, has just brought up a nice little personal landmark because he's made a century. 22 of those now, I think, in first-class cricket for him. He got one in the Roses match that was abandoned here last year as well, so enjoys his days at Headingley, Keaton Jennings. He's ridden his luck. Stephen Crofts is with him, not out on 85. They've put on 194 runs between them since the second wicket fell when the score was on just 12. A little bit of hope for Yorkshire in the sense that there's about 8 overs or so until the new ball, second new ball, can be taken, so they might have a bit of joy with that, but it looks a good pitch. Batting conditions have largely been pretty good, and Lancashire have got a pretty strong batting lineup as well, and they're showing us that at the moment. They're 206 for 2. I do. Cup of tea as well, please. Well, I've 2 hours since I've not been able to have a drink since then. I'm parched. I'm parched. I'm back tomorrow, and I notice you are as well. Excellent. Thanks, Rima. Stephen Patterson, and that's wide of off stump, and Keaton Jennings shoulders arms, no run. The Shires. Lev's nodding. Jamie is not. He's shaking his head. And here we have the president in the back of the commentary box. How are you, Prez? You well? Mr. Cope's in the back of the commentary box as Patterson's in and bowls. And Jennings drives into the offside. It's fumbled there by, I think, Jordan Thompson, who tried to atone by throwing down the wicket and missed. And still laid prone on the Headingley turf. It was Tomo. Yep, 207 for 2. Jennings 103, Croft 85.
Looks to me as though they're just going to try and bustle through a few overs now from Bess before that second new ball becomes due. 207 for 2. I don't think there'll be any hesitation in taking it. Desperately need a wicket before then. A new ball then with a new batsman in. Might start to make inroads. Lancashire very much in the ascendancy. Oh, wow, there's nice little dark things appearing underneath each player now by their feet. Shadows, I think they're called, Jonathan. We haven't seen too many of them today, have we?
No.
I wonder if the Shires play the sort of music as good as the Shadows, do you think? A bit old school for many of our younger listeners.
Yeah, best then. 10 overs, 3 maidens, none for 23 from the Kirkstall Lane end. Round the wicket to Jennings, who flicks it into the leg side where George Hill feels no run.
You'd have been a bit of a Shadows fan, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
bit of
huge.
Hank Marvin.
Yeah. What did they sing?
Don't look at me.
Yes, Bess. That's pushed into the offside. An appeal for LBW, because I think that was probably pad before bat, but there was definitely both involved. Keaton Jennings.
What did they
No
sing?
run.
What did they sing, the Shadows? I know. You've caught me out there, haven't you?
Here's Bess wide of the crease and flicked to leg by Jennings, who used his feet nicely, like a batsman who's been out there all day. Hill feels, but they get through for one.
Instrumental.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't be an expert, and I wouldn't be confident enough to state this with confidence. But I think they were an instrumental group, apart from when Cliff sang with them, were they not?
Yeah, Cliff Richard sang with them, didn't he? Yeah.
Apache, is that?
Apache. That's about the only one I can remember as well of their hits.
208 for 2. Bess over the wicket, and Croft, right-hander back on strike, drops it into the offside. No run.
And for you young people used to downloading everything back in the day, people used to go out, and your grandparents probably buy a piece of black vinyl and stick it down on a 45 revs with a arm with a needle on that came out and played through a couple of speakers. And we thought that was technology, didn't we?
Yeah, Bess straying down the leg side and helped on its way this by Croft, who's coming back for a second if indeed he did hit it, and confirmation that he didn't from umpire Saggers, who signals leg byes. John Logan says, "Hi JD, Scott Skywalker and Princess Levick escape the evil clutches of Darth Townsend and Emperor Howells and meet Obi-Wan Doige in search of the prized notebook."
Oh dear.
Bess skips his way in over the wicket. Croft pushes back into the offside. There's no run, end of the over.
Who's
He goes
Mr.
on.
Spock, then?
He goes on. He goes on. Obi-Wan Doige, you are our only hope. On a cricketing front, it's good to see the improved batting performances this season so far. However, it seems to be at the expense of poor catching and fielding. Also, it's now de rigueur for captains to put the opposition into bat, despite the fact that we've had the most runs in the county championship in April and May for 20 years. Discuss with a question mark.
Yeah, well, I discussed this earlier. It's quite possibly that they're putting them into bat because we have had the most runs in the county championship. The pitches are flat. How do you bowl a team out in the fourth innings to win the game? You've got to look what happened down at Hove last week. You know, Sussex made a huge first innings. We've got a little delay here whilst. Is that who's that?
Tom Lowton.
It is Tom Lowton. Look at what happened at Sussex. Sussex made a huge first innings score, set Middlesex about 400 to win, and because the pitch is so good, they actually got it. Sussex couldn't take those 10 wickets to win the game. And that's just one example. Lowton, what am I calling him? So, yes, there he is. Lowton, is it? Lowton. Bowls outside the off stump to the keeper. No run. So I was so caught up making my point there.
Lowton might suggest there's a W involved. I know your eyesight's not the best, old boy, but there's definitely not a W involved.
I'd have probably done Lawton, you see. Lawton, L-O-T-E-N, Lawton.
And I'm not laughing there because I just did an update and I couldn't tell exactly what the partnership was, so I said it's going on for 200.
He's through the onside that next delivery from Lowton. Lowton? Have I got that right this time?
This is one of these, isn't it, where you get it wrong once and you just can't. You keep questioning it every time. We've all been there.
Well,
yeah, it is Lowton.
Lowton's into his 9th over. He's so far given away 37 runs. But he's got potential, hasn't he?
Yeah, we had it last year. Our great mate from Sussex, Adrian Harms, he got Johnny Tattersalls. He couldn't stop putting an extra H in. He was calling him Johnny Tattershaw. But then he kept remembering he'd done it wrong last time and going back to Tattersall. And then he'd go back to shawl. He just wasn't quite sure whether he was wearing a shawl or not.
This next delivery from Lowton is played up just wide of mid-off, but there's no single there.
So we've all been there. We've all been there.
His sort of quirky run-ups more obvious when he runs up the hill, isn't it? He leaps sideways as he's just about to bowl as well. So a little skip to start with, and then a shuffle to one side, and now as he approaches the crease, it's not quite honed, that run up yet. I think he's going to be a good bowler when they've got him sorted out. 211 for 2. That ball pushed into the onside, no run. Nice bit of evening sunshine. Basking in it over there on the east stand. Lowton bowls, and that's pushed square of the wicket, no run there. He also doesn't sort of gather himself as the going into his bowling stride either, does he? He has his hand sort of down somewhere by his thigh as he's going into his delivery stride. So an interesting, and actually quite nice to see somebody with not a highly coached action. Can he get a wicket? Should have had one earlier. Bowls, and that's pushed into the gap by Croft, looking for a single on the offside, won't get it. As around comes Harry Brook to do the fielding. Don't give him an S on his own. He's only got one walk away, not more than one.
Well, if you pop one on his, you might have to take one off Keaton Jennings. Just for the balance of the alphabet across the two sides.
Yeah. If they were sharing the S's.
So, talking of S's, Don Bess is going to continue at the Kirkstall Lane end to the left-handed Keaton Jennings. 105 not out. 22 overs remaining in the day. For those who've just joined us perhaps in recent times, as Jennings pushes into the offside where Brook fields, no run. Yorkshire won the toss this morning, or Stephen Patterson did, put Lancashire in and had them 12 for 2 after a slowish start. But they've got going very nicely indeed. Partnership now 199 for the third wicket. And Jennings steps back and cuts that out just in front of square on the offside where Lowton fields, no run.
He's trying to get down the pitch to Bess and just break his length up here. I think young Mr. Duke behind the stumps have got to be on red alert here.
Bess round the wicket, and Jennings tries the cut again but can't get it past Lowton. No run.
Does have a good technique when he comes down the pitch, though, doesn't he, Jennings? It's hard to see how the ball's going to get past him. He seems to cover a fair bit of any turn.
Here's Bess again. In to Jennings, who leans forward and pushes into the offside. No run. Rupert says, harumph. I was disappointed to hear DT say that Tykes supporters would not begrudge Jennings his single for a century. He needs to be reminded of the famous story about Wilfred Rhodes admonishing Headley Verity for careless bowling after a game when HV conceded an unnecessary 4. Bess in, and that's cut. And cut really well this time by Jennings. He's managed to find the gap between the man in front of square on the offside and the man behind it, and has picked up 4 more.
Yeah, well, the point I was making, Rupert, was that I think if any Yorkshire fan in the ground, if they'd said, that's the 200 partnership, by the way, 203 runs between these, any Yorkshire fan in the ground would say, you can have a run, then get out. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? That was the thinking of it. Let the lad out on 99. They did put some pressure on him when he was on 99, didn't they?
Here's Bess, and Jennings turns it to leg, and there's no run. 383 balls, I think it said, for the 203 run partnership. Nigel Ashton on the Wirral says, I can't claim to have any really old 78s, but I have a lot of 33 1/3 albums and 45s, 7-inch singles, plus a tape deck, and some loads of 80s audio tapes, all of which I still play.
Yeah. That's the other thing these, the millennials don't know about scratching a record. It's like you could go and you could pay your 7 and 6pence or whatever it was. That was pre-decimal money as well. That needs explaining. You could pay that, and then you could drop the record or something, or somebody could accidentally scratch it coming out, and it would hop and not play properly. Patterson, this is starting, and it would be easy if it was Patterson. I would have to remember what his name was. And that's played into the offside, no run there. They're just looking for that second new ball. This is the 76th over, 215 for 2.
Yep. Tom Joiner Union says, just watched Ralph LBW shout again on slow-mo, and it pitched in line with leg stump and straightened. Plumb. 3 reds on DRS. Jennings should have been out on 99.
Next ball is pushed towards extra cover. And there's no run. Georgie, are you making your way out?
I am going to just bring in the main man today. He's been assessing our performance at the back of the box. He's now going to come in and show us how it's done. Jamie Rayner, welcome back to the commentary box here at Headingley, old boy.
Better be on best behaviour now. Lowton bowls, that's hit. Oh, it's slightly in the air, but he's found the gap through the covers. And that's 4 more to Stephen Croft. He moves on to, that should be 89 if it ticks over. The scoreboard a little bit on the slow side. Yep, there he goes, 89 to Croft. Jamie Rayner, well, very welcome to this commentary position.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Obi-Wan Doiji.
Well, you're one of those Star Wars men as well, obviously.
We'll see.
Alerton bowls and a grunt as he bowls, as you possibly heard there. Expending some energy. Pushed up to mid-off. Are you Star Wars sort of aficionado?
No, I hit and miss, I would say, DT.
You celebrate May the 4th or whatever it was?
No, I've seen a lot of that on social media. Again, it's not really my thing.
Lowton to Croft, and he is grunting, isn't he? He's grunting like an East European tennis player as he delivers that ball. 219 for 2. Or was it actually a Russian tennis player? It was Sharapova, wasn't it? She used to grunt a fair bit, I seem to recall.
Look at a very enthusiastic run-up.
Well, I'm not quite sure she had a run-up, did she? Lowton's got sort of 15, 16 paces in bowls, and that delivery just shapes into Croft, who helps it on its way into the onside, out to deep backward square leg for a single. He moves ever closer into the 90s, 90 exactly. 220 for 2. So they've done well today, haven't they, Lancashire?
They have, given where they were at 12 for 2 to now be on 220 for 2, a partnership worth 208. Yorkshire have given them chances, but it's been a calculated, considered partnership by the pair. And Croft on 90 now, 10 runs shy of a century, and he's not really looked too troubled, DT.
Well, no, you're going to get Lancashire fans cursing you down the line if he gets out now, aren't you?
Well, Bess is in, bowls, and it's a fullish delivery. A defensive push from Croft back down to Bess, no run.
Both of them, though, to use another old cricketing saying, they seem to have played every ball on its merit, haven't they? They've as you say, very, very considered partnership.
Bess once again shorter this time, and Croft just works it on its way into the onside, no run.
Fair to say Yorkshire still waiting for something to happen rather than... You can't see why they're looking to take a wicket.
Yeah, the fear is that it's been such a long day now, it feels, from a Yorkshire perspective. They're just waiting for that opportunity. Can Best deliver it? Fullich again, and it's rather squeezed out from Croft's feet, and it spurts out towards square leg, no run. You do wonder where that next chance is going to come from. They look so well set at the moment, this pair. Best once more, and once again Croft just works it off his legs. Harris Ralph there with the misfield, it goes through him at short fine leg, and Croft adds 2 to his name. Lancashire move on to 2.22 for 2. Croft himself on 92.
Can you do a Richie Benner?
Absolutely not. I know a man in this room will try.
He's doing it over there,
Yeah.
quite quietly to himself.
Let's just let him
chuckling away.
do it to himself, and nobody else needs to hear it. Best in one more run. We don't need to hear those impersonations at all. It doesn't need any encouragement, DT.
He doesn't, no.
Best then, once again, fullish, and it's just a defensive push from Croft back down towards Best to conclude the over. Lancashire 222 for 2, and this partnership worth 210, and it doesn't look like changing.
Not for the time at the moment, does it? But you've got a new ball due in 3 overs time, and I think another burst from Jordan Thompson, perhaps, who did bowl very well this morning. First couple of overs, it took him a while to find his range, but he bowled a very telling opening spell of 7 overs and took 2 for 7 in that opening spell. So he'll no doubt be back, but at the moment Yorkshire really just sort of going through the motions. Although I'm sure Tom Lowton won't be. He'll be after a wicket. First appearance of the season. Oh, he's coming round the wicket now. This will be interesting with his quirky run-up. Bowls, and Jennings finds a gap to the right hand of backward point. That races away down to third man for a boundary, and Richie Benno disappears from the ball. 226 for 2.
He's played that shot well all day, Keaton Jennings. His timing on the back foot, finding the areas. It's been very impressive from the Lancashire opener.
It's a sign of a quality player, isn't it? Just waiting to playing the ball under your eyes and just waiting until it gets there and just easing it away. And it's a very productive area for runs, is down to third man, if you can find the gaps and you can do it safely. A little bit of advice there from the skipper to his young bowler, who round the wicket bowls to Jennings, and Jennings pushes firmly back to Lowton, and no run to be had there. All sorts of problems for the Lancashire batsmen early in the day. 12 for 2 they were. A couple of drop catches as well. We wondered at the time, didn't we, how expensive those would be. And my word, have they been expensive. Lowton bowls, Jennings eases that one to mid-wicket. Won't be getting any runs there, fielded by Thompson, who's no doubt looking forward to giving it another little burst with the second new ball in 2.5 overs time. It's a bit samey, I was saying earlier, this Yorkshire attack, isn't it? You can't. They have got, of course, Ben Code missing, Matthew Fisher missing, but next ball is defended into the offside. There's a little bit too much of this sort of military medium, with only the cutting edge of Ralph, who's bowled quite quickly at times today, but I don't think there's a lot in the pitch for him.
Experience as well, particularly when you look at the career that Ben Code has had so far. It's a huge miss for Yorkshire, and Matthew Fisher as well. Quality player, 2 premium bowlers missing for the Tykes.
Lowton bowls and driven firmly to straight there to extra cover. And there's lots of sort of half discussions going on, aren't there? What are we going to do here, Skip? What can we do here? And, very defensive field at the moment, with just Joe Root at slip, a fine gully, backward point. Lowton bowls again, and it's driven straight to short extra cover, bump ball. One or two in the crowd might have got a bit excited there. Harry Brook, who's been off the field, comes back on. It's the end of the over, the end of the 78th over. 226 for 2.
One thing that has been quite pleasant, DT, despite the fact that there's a lot of long sleeves out there, is that the sun has shone quite a lot today, particularly in this evening session. Which for those sitting in the east stand will no doubt welcome.
Yes, it doesn't look particularly. Hasn't been a great day for watching the great game today.
Best back into the attack, over the wicket. Foolish delivery is just pushed into the onside. Harry Brook doing the fielding there, no run. Bess into his 14th over. Second delivery. Shorter this time, and just Croft angles it off his hip. Finds the man at square leg. No run.
Even here, you'd think maybe just put a little bit of pressure on, stick a bat pad in there or something, or make the batsman think more. There's just the one slip, isn't there?
Bess just angles it once again towards the leg stump, and it's Croft who plays it just into that onside. Yeah, just a bit of pressure around the bat maybe.
Just something different, you know. Just
hop, skip and jump from Bess over the wicket once more, and again Croft just finding the man at square leg, no run. It's been a mightily impressive partnership though, take nothing away from it. 214 given where Lancashire were early on today. Bess comes in, and it's a foolish delivery, and it goes through Harry Duke and Adam Lyth at first slip and races down to the boundary. 4 runs. Is that signalled as runs?
It was signalled as runs. I think he's just sort of. I think he's just got that on you know, sort of as it struck the ground.
Bottom edge, and it's just rolled on through.
Not a chance.
No, a difficult one for Duke to try and stop as it skid away, and it rolled on through to move. Croft now on to 96, Lancashire 230 for 2. Best the final delivery of his 14th over. Spins into the legs of Croft, and once again he just pushes it into the onside, no run. That concludes the over. Lancashire 230 for 2. This partnership now 218, and Croft 4 shy of a century.
A well-deserved century, isn't it? There's nothing flashy about his play. You know, you wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm going to," you know, you'd travel miles to watch a Stephen Cross century. But my word, he is very, very solid. Number 4 scores his runs. Very valuable member of the side.
I think the point that you make about playing the balls on merit is a well-made one, given how they have in the majority of both their respective innings been very considered in their shot selection. Yorkshire will no doubt be ruining those missed opportunities early on in the day. Now, given the score.
Oh, not half, as Alan Freeman used to say. So here the last, that's pitched up and just dug out by Jennings. Last over, we would assume, with this ball. It's the 80th over of the innings. And let's have a look. Lily's been in touch. Yorkshire need wickets. Hopefully we can get them with the new ball. Now, I feel for you, DT, not knowing how to pronounce Tom Loughton's surname. No one can pronounce my surname. That's Lily Alumi. That delivery is driven firmly back and well fielded there.
He was well down by Harris Ralph there. He scurried on to try and meet the ball and just about reached it. Prevented what would definitely have been at least a run.
Yeah, he would have had to scamper back to the boundary. I think that would have been probably been a couple there. Good diving stop by a fast bowler. I don't know whether you're too keen to see that. Loughton bowls again, and that's a lovely drive through the offside. Just the single though. The sweeper out there tidies up. Right-hander comes on strike, needing those 4 runs to make his century.
It's been a common theme in the early stages of this year's county championship. Runs on the board, particularly in the first innings. We've seen it so many times.
Here's Loughton bowls, and that's just met with a defensive bat by Croft. He's in no hurry. And very much look forward to getting those 3 figures on the board. As a look around the field, there's no obvious scoring areas for him, perhaps down to third man because it's just the slip and the gully. 3 saving 1 on the offside, 3 saving 1 on the on as Loughton bowls to him, and I wouldn't say squared him up there, but he started to play on the onside and then straightened himself up, pushed it up to mid-off.